Sega.
Welcome to Dakar!
The original OutRun was a massive hit for Sega, so, much like Hang-On, they decided to make a sequel. And like Super Hang-On, they added a turbo boost feature. But the handling, plus moving the car up to fit in a temperature gauge, makes the gameplay somewhat more awkward than the original. It also slows down a bit in places. First, we'll look at the 1989 arcade version, running on similar hardware to the original OutRun. Then we'll look at the 1990 PC-DOS conversion and see how different it is. The arcade version was released in various cabinets and also as an upgrade kit to the original OutRun game. The cabinets shown here are the sit-down and very rare white deluxe unit, which tilted when steering, as per the original. The attract mode begins right away with gameplay from the opening stage of the game. The Ferrari Testarossa convertible has been swapped for a Ferrari F40 convertible, which has never existed in real life. The demo is periodically broken up with a high score table, and the game logo. The demo runs through the first 4 stages before looping. Similar to Afterburner 2, a graphic in the bottom right corner shows how to use the gear stick and turbo boost button. After all 4 of the opening stages have played through, you see the course map and your rival driving a Porsche 959. Upon starting the game, you see the course map, then choose between manual and automatic transmission. I'm going with auto to keep it simple.
Welcome to Dakar!
Once everyone leaves the starting line, the race, from coast to coast across the USA, begins in New York. Here I overtake my rival using the turbo boost feature, which can only be used limited times as your car overheats. You have to wait for it to cool down to use it again. The second stage moves to Washington DC with a rain shower, some barriers, and a flood to contend with, plus some police. Stage 3 takes us to Pittsburgh and a snow shower, plus some snowdrifts and a tunnel that catches me out. I can't stop crashing here. The fourth stage is Indianapolis, bathed in a red sunset. Make it through this one and the band plays, and then you get to upgrade an aspect of your car. I'll go for the high grip tyres. Chicago is next, and my girlfriend loves me because I beat the Porsche driver.
Good luck!
This is the first nighttime stage and features an oil slick that you can set fire to if you ignite your turbo boost.
Checkpoint!
St. Louis follows with a road that splits in 2. You can clatter through the barrels harmlessly though. Stage 7 is Memphis as evening gets nearer. This stage is full of sweeping turns that catch me out, plus a lot of tumbleweed. The 8th stage is Atlanta, set at night in a desert. Obviously a sandstorm, and loose sand slow you down here. And I don't make the finish line by a matter of meters. Inserting a credit lets me try again, and this time I make it, despite the traffic, but behind the rival Porsche. I'll add a high power engine. I love how one guy carries it in alone. And now my girlfriend turns on me and joins the Porsche driver. Then I set off alone into Miami, a stage that riffs off the first one in the original OutRun, yet the extra graphics and clouds say, "Look how far we've come graphically." New Orleans follows, with a few crashes leading to using another credit. Stage 11 takes us to San Antonio and another split road. The left-hand lane is filled with barriers, dirt and oil, so stick to the right-hand lane. It's still a tricky stage though. Next we enter Dallas and a rather drab-looking desert, punctuated with the odd rock tunnel.
Very good!
Let's grab the special turbo for the last 4 stages. And my girlfriend is back again.
Good luck.
Oklahoma City has a number of sharp turns and buildings to wreck into, as well as some wide open plains. Denver is next, so it's back to snow, dangerous turns, and rock walls. Yet another continue sees me make it to the Grand Canyon. Weirdly, there's not many rocky walls in this stage, rather autumnal trees and houses. And a huge amount of wrecked cars. The final stage sees us reach the west coast and dive into Los Angeles with the crowds cheering us home. After a reasonably narrow stage, with some more police to dodge and oil to burn, we cross the goal finish line at last.
Congratulations.
Now we get to see the Hulk Hogan-esque Porsche driver having a cry. And that's about it. The map shows our progress across the USA. And then we can enter our name into the high score table.
Very good.
Now, enjoy a minute of the arcade. I'll pick a stage from all 4 blocks of stages, so you can hear the various background tunes. The PC-DOS version released in 1990 with this somewhat strange artwork featuring a Ferrari Testarossa, which isn't in this version. Do note it says it's a fully loaded special edition, more options, more strategy. This is true, but is it more good? The game released on both 5.25-inch and later 3.5-inch floppy disk. The DOS version boots initially into a config menu. Note in particular, you can here choose the responsiveness of the car, which can make the game easier to control. To access this menu again, delete the trout.cfg file in the game folder. The game starts with a quick shout out to Code2Go, who programmed this version, before you can set up your joystick, if you chose that in the options. The opening music from the arcade game then plays. Next up you see the animated map, which was originally at the end of the arcade version, before we start the New York stage. I'm running DOSBox at 4000 cycles here. If you run it too fast, the game can flicker or not even work. You hear a tune from the arcade version on the start line, but there's no music in-game at all. Graphically, it's dialed back a lot from the arcade, and though smooth, can feel a bit slow to play. The turbo boost doesn't do one blast at a time, you can pulse it if you like. Another key allows you to change the bottom right display between lap time, RPM, miles per hour, fuel remaining, tyre and outside temperatures. None of these are hugely important apart from maybe tyre temperature, as if you get them too hot you'll spin out. This is different to the arcade, part of the new features in this version. Another thing to watch out for is the game being unfair. If cars were behind you and you spin out, you'll often be placed back on the road in their way and spin out again. Also unlike the arcade, when you reach Washington DC the game stops and you hear the US national anthem, to this rather out of place artwork. You then enter Patriot Auto Parts and discover each part has various levels of upgrade. The game has gear ratios as a fourth upgrade path. I buy what I can afford, then lose my girlfriend, before the pit crew fixes up my car, and that same tune plays. So off we go again. Washington has no rainstorm in this version. Instead it adds deadly barriers that you have to avoid. Pittsburgh is snowy, but not as exciting as the arcade. Indianapolis seems long, with no sun in the sky, and I run out of time here. So it's time to cheat. I found a cracked version that pauses the time and takes out the spinouts, so let's see what else this DOS version has. For starters, the deadly barriers make a reappearance. Ouch! Getting to Chicago shows a picture of the city, with the same tune from the start of each race. Windy City Auto Parts help you upgrade here. Chicago is much less nighttime in this version of the game, plus has some huge rocks. St. Louis is this lurid pink colour, and I'm not sure why. Oh, and deadly barrels now appear too. Plus the game replaces my car so I can't avoid them. Great. Unlike the arcade, we next stop in Memphis with Elvis. And the same tune again. Graceland Auto Parts is manned by an Elvis fan, clearly. And my girlfriend is back. Memphis is strangely blue, with some barriers. I'm sensing a theme here. Atlanta's desert is next. Oops, it's another barrier. We make it to Miami and some flamingos, which naturally means a bikini-wearing surf babe at Flamingo Auto Parts. Miami again has objects to avoid and a collection of roadside sprites you've already seen a few times now, and probably will again. New Orleans is another weirdly pink stage with lots of identical advertising boards, plus cacti. San Antonio continues the advertising and places barrels down the middle of the road. At least the developers had a stab at the two-lane section from the arcade version. We get to Dallas and there's another break here which wasn't in the arcade, with its own unique tune. Lone Star Auto Parts comes with a Stetson-wearing salesman. I've lost my girlfriend again. Let's win her back. Dallas has rocks and barriers, whilst Oklahoma City has a few snowy trees, although I'm not sure why, as it's not a snowy stage in the arcade. Snowy trees and cactus is a weird stylistic choice. We get to Denver and get another artwork, before Mile High Auto Parts try to help us out. My girlfriend is back for the final stages. Denver was a snowy stage in the arcade, but apart from the white trees here, you'd never know it. It also means that entering the Grand Canyon barely feels any different. I'm not sure why houses late in the stage have boulders crashed into them though. And finally, Los Angeles. The common red houses are a bit different to the arcade skyscrapers. Don't touch the Porsche though. And finish this stage in the yellow arrows for the congratulations screen and a chance to enter your name in the high score table. Another arcade tune plays here. It's just a shame the main game has no music. Now for a minute of this version without me talking over it. The engine noise is a bit crackly. As the PC-DOS port shifted the stop points around, let's compare the 3 stages which start at the same location in both versions. First, here's the arcade version at the start in New York. Look how much detail there is. Wiping across to the PC version sees the massive dashboard taking up a lot of room, a huge cutback on scenery, and a nighttime vibe in the sky. Here's the start of Chicago in the arcade. The animated cars driving over the bridge was a nice touch. But the PC version is nowhere near as dark and looks more like daytime than New York did. Finally, here's the arcade at Miami, essentially the start line from the original OutRun recreated. The PC version doesn't feel much like it. Let's put some stages head to head so you can see and hear the difference between them. The arcade version was big, bold, brash, and less well received than the original. It's harder to see where you're going, more chaotic, and the lack of road splits at the end of each stage made the game feel smaller. The DOS port added a fair few new features, but driving cautiously to not overheat the tyres or engine isn't really in the spirit of OutRun. The car upgrade levels are nice, but can quickly be maxed out if you're a good driver. It is, however, much harder than the arcade due to the lack of continues. Actually, you can save if you press S at any of the auto centres. The game will then exit, and when you restart you can continue from that save, but only the one time, unless you back up the trout.cfg config file. Anyway, overall both games offer a different experience, but neither is quite as fun or thrilling as the original OutRun. If you like this comparison of Turbo OutRun, then give it a like, or subscribe, ring the bell, etc. to find out when my next video is live. And join me next time to blow up some bad guys.